I have been working security for the Krynn Collective for 17 cycles. 17 cycles of dealing with smugglers, pirates, political dissidents, and every flavor of criminal the galaxy has to offer. I have seen species that can melt through steel with their skin, beings that survive in hard vacuum, and creatures that regenerate limbs in mere hours. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the human. My name is Veltrin, Senior Diplomatic Security Officer stationed on Praxis 9. And I am about to tell you the most terrifying 72 hours of my entire existence. The kind of story that makes your sensory organs twitch and your secondary heart skip a beat. The kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the food chain. It started 3 days ago when Warden Bront decided to remind our newest prisoner exactly who was in charge around here. Bad idea. Terrible idea, actually. The detention block was cold that morning, temperature set to just above freezing to keep the more aggressive species docile. The walls were reinforced durasteel, capable of withstanding plasma fire. Guard turrets tracked movement from every corner. This was not a place where anyone got comfortable. This was not a place where anyone showed defiance. And yet, the doors hissed open, and 2 guards escorted her in. Riley, her identification file said. Just Riley, nothing else. Age 22 by Earth standards, whatever those were. Height, 5 feet and 6 inches in their primitive measurements. Weight, 130-something pounds. She looked fragile. I know how that sounds now, given everything that happened after, but you have to understand the context here. By galactic standards, she was tiny. Pale skin that looked like it had never seen real sunlight. No natural armor plating, no venomous spines, no biological weapons whatsoever. Her limbs were thin, delicate even. She had these strange patches of hair above her eyes and on top of her head, brown and somewhat messy. She looked like something you would keep as a pet, not lock up in a maximum security facility. Bront, on the other hand, was 8 feet of pure intimidation. Reptilian ancestry, scales like battle armor, claws that could shred most metals. His jaw could crush bone without effort. He had personally subdued 14 different species in hand-to-hand combat during his career. He was not someone you messed with. He was not someone you smiled at. Riley smiled at him. Not a nervous smile, not a scared smile. A knowing smile. The kind that made your stomach drop because you realized the person across from you knew something you did not. Sit down, human. Bront growled, his voice like grinding stones. She sat, casual, comfortable, like she was settling into a chair at a cafe rather than a detention facility where prisoners routinely disappeared. I stood by the door, datapad in hand, recording everything as protocol demanded. My role was simple. Observe, document, ensure no violations of collective law occurred. Standard procedure, nothing to worry about. Except my tertiary nervous system was already firing warning signals. Something felt off. Something felt very, very wrong. Bront leaned forward, letting his full size dominate the space. Do you know what happens to smugglers in Krynn space, human? Enlighten me, Riley said, her tone almost bored. Oh, this was not good. Prisoners did not take that tone. Prisoners did not make eye contact like that. Prisoners definitely did not lean back in their chairs like they owned the place. Bront's claws scraped the table surface, leaving deep grooves in the metal. We have very specific ways of dealing with your kind. Painful ways. Permanent ways. Riley examined her fingernails. Actually looked at her fingernails like she was checking if they needed maintenance. Uh-huh. That is fascinating, really. I saw Bront's jaw tighten. This was going poorly. I should have intervened right then. Should have called for a break in the interrogation. Should have done literally anything except stand there like a fool. But I was curious. Morbidly, stupidly curious. You think this is a joke? Bront stood up, his full height casting a shadow over the human. You think you are safe here? You think your little species matters in the grand scope of the galaxy? Riley looked up at him then, and I swear on every star in the sector, her expression did not change one bit. No fear, no anger, no desperation. Just calm, collected amusement. I think, she said slowly, that you are trying really hard to scare me right now. And I think it is kind of adorable. Adorable. She called Warden Bront adorable. I almost dropped my datapad. Bront's hand shot out faster than I could track, wrapping around her throat, lifting her partially out of the chair. Any other species would have been choking, gasping, begging. The human just raised her eyebrows, waiting. I could end your life right now, Bront hissed, his face inches from hers. One squeeze. That is all it would take. Your pathetic little neck would snap like a twig. This was it. This was the moment she would break. This was when the fear would kick in, when survival instincts would override whatever bravado she had been maintaining. Riley's lips curled into a smirk, and she said, in the most casual tone I've ever heard, "Go ahead." The room went silent, dead silent. Even the environmental systems seemed to hold their breath. Bront's hand trembled slightly, just slightly, but I noticed. After years of reading body language across hundreds of species, I noticed. He released her, stepped back, and for the first time in my career, I saw uncertainty flicker across Warden Bront's face. Riley rubbed her neck absently, like swatting away an annoying insect. Are we done with the intimidation routine? Because I have to say, I have seen better performances from younglings. I needed to understand what was happening here. Needed to know why this human, this tiny, fragile-looking creature from a species nobody had even heard of 6 months ago, was acting like she held all the cards. Warden, I spoke up, my voice cracking slightly. Perhaps we should review her file before continuing. Bront shot me a look that could melt steel, but he nodded curtly. Fine, let us see exactly what we are dealing with. I pulled up the data on my pad, scrolling through the initial reports. Human, origin planet, Earth, classification, unknown, threat level, unassessed. And there it was, buried in the xenobiologist's notes from initial processing. One line that I had skimmed over before, one line that now made my blood run cold. Preliminary analysis suggests subject originates from Class 12 Deathworld. Recommend extreme caution. Class 12, Class 12, the highest rating we had. The kind of planet where everything was designed to kill you, where survival was a daily struggle against impossible odds, where evolution did not produce prey, it produced predators. I looked up at Riley, who was now humming softly to herself, completely unbothered by the fact that she was surrounded by armed guards in a facility designed to break the will of the galaxy's most dangerous criminals. And she winked at me. That was when I realized the truth. We had not captured a smuggler. We had not detained a criminal. We had invited an apex predator into our den, given her a tour of our defenses, and then locked the door behind us, with us inside, with her. Warden, I said quietly, I think we need to talk about what happened over the past 72 hours. Because this story, this absolutely insane story, started long before Riley sat down in that chair. It started when we thought we were the hunters. Let me take you back. 72 hours before that smirk, before that terrifying calmness, before everything went sideways. The distress signal came in at 600 station time. Small cargo vessel, human registry, reporting engine failure just outside Krynn territorial space. Standard rescue operation. We had done this hundreds of times before. Patrol ships brought her in. One pilot, no crew, minimal cargo. Riley stepped off her ship wearing what I can only describe as the most inadequate protective gear I had ever seen. Thin fabric. No environmental suit, no backup oxygen, just clothes. "Welcome to Praxis 9, I had said, trying to be professional. "We will need to run standard medical and security screenings before we can arrange transport back to your home system." She had smiled. That same smile. "Sure thing. Take your time." The medical bay was where things got weird. Really weird. Dr. Yalix ran the scanners 3 times because he thought his equipment was malfunctioning. I watched his facial tendrils go pale as he reviewed the results. "Officer Veltrin," he whispered, pulling me aside. "This cannot be right. Her bone density is off the charts. She has a redundant cardiovascular system, 2 kidneys, a liver, that apparently regenerates itself. Her muscles are packed with something called myoglobin at concentrations that should not be possible. So she is built tough," I had replied, not seeing the issue yet. "Some species are naturally hardy." "Hardy?" Yalix's voice cracked. "Her blood cells carry oxygen so efficiently she could function in atmospheres that would suffocate most of us. Her immune system is attacking the scanner particles, attacking them like they are invaders." I looked through the window at Riley, who was sitting calmly, swinging her legs back and forth like a youngling waiting for candy. "Run the genetic analysis," I ordered. Yalix did. What came back made no sense. Her DNA had error correction built into it. Error correction. Like someone had designed her species to survive anything. But that was just the beginning. Oh no, that was just the warm-up act. Security protocol required environmental adaptation testing for any unknown species. We needed to know what conditions she could survive in, what might harm her, basic safety information. We started with gravity, increased it to 1.5 times standard. She stretched and yawned. 2 times standard. She complained about feeling sluggish but kept walking normally. 2.5 times standard. At this point, most species would be crushed into the floor, bones breaking under their own weight. Riley dropped to the ground and started doing something she called push-ups. Exercise. She was exercising in gravity that should have been crippling her. "Make it stop," Yalix begged me. "Please make it stop. I do not want to see anymore." But we had to continue. Atmospheric testing next. We introduced trace amounts of compounds that were toxic to 90% of known species. Her lungs processed them without issue. We increased the concentration. Nothing. We added more. She sneezed once and said, "Smells like industrial cleaner in here." Temperature stress came next. We dropped it to near freezing. She shivered but remained conscious and alert. We raised it to temperatures that would cook most organic tissue. She sweated but adapted within minutes. "What kind of planet produces this?" I asked, nobody in particular. Yalix pulled up Earth's environmental data, what little we had. His response was simple. Hell produces this. Then came the inventory check of her cargo hold. Under a false panel, we found weapons, not just any weapons. Biological samples, data chips with encrypted information, and maps. Maps of Krynn military installations. She was not a lost pilot. She was a spy. And we had invited her right into our most secure facility. I ordered her moved to detention immediately, locked down. Maximum security protocols. I thought we had contained the threat. I was so very, very wrong. Back in the interrogation room, after Bront had released her throat, after she had smirked and told him to go ahead, I decided it was time for answers. Real answers. Tell us about Earth, I said, keeping my voice level. Professional, like I was not having an internal panic attack. Riley perked up, actually looking pleased. Oh, you want the tourist pitch? Okay, Earth is great. We have 1 g of gravity, that is our standard. Oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, about 21% oxygen. Normal stuff. Normal. She called crushing gravity normal. She called an atmosphere that would ignite most species' respiratory systems normal. Go on, Bront said, his claws still twitching. We have weather, Riley continued, like she was describing a vacation spot. Rain, snow, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. You know, the usual. Temperatures range from -40 to +50 Celsius, depending on where you are. Oh, and we have predators. Lots of predators. Yalix's voice crackled over the comm system. Officer Veltrin, I am looking at the data. That temperature range would kill most species. The atmospheric pressure variations alone during these weather events would be fatal. Riley heard him and laughed, actually laughed. Fatal. Buddy, we vacation in those conditions. We call it camping. We do it for fun. For fun. What about your biology? I pressed, needing to understand. Your doctor said you have redundant systems, regenerative capabilities. Why? Evolution. Riley shrugged. Earth does not mess around. If you cannot adapt, you die. Simple as that. Our ancestors were persistence hunters. We chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We did not need to be fast. We just needed to never, ever stop. The way she said it, so casual, so matter-of-fact, made my spine tingle. This was not a species that gave up. This was not a species that backed down. We also figured out how to eat poison, she added, like it was a fun bonus feature. Alcohol, that is a toxin we drink socially. Capsaicin, that is a chemical weapon plants evolved to stop animals from eating them. We put it on our food and call it spicy. We invented hundreds of ways to hurt ourselves just to feel something interesting. Bront was staring at her now, really staring, like he was seeing her for the first time. You are insane. We are survivors, Riley corrected, her smile fading slightly. Big difference. She gestured with her hands while talking, animated, expressive. And that was when it happened. The restraints around her wrists, military-grade durasteel designed to hold species 3 times her size, snapped, just broke, clean through. Riley froze, looking down at the broken metal. Oops, sorry about that. I forget my own strength sometimes. Adrenaline response, you know how it is. I did not know how it was. I did not want to know how it was. Bront moved fast, weapon drawn, pressed against her skull. Do not move, human. Her heart rate monitor did not spike, did not increase even 1 beat per minute. She just sat there, completely calm, weapon pressed to her head. You need to understand something, Riley said quietly. Humans do not scare easy. Fear is useful back home, keeps you alive. But we learn to control it, channel it, use it. The alarm system suddenly blared to life. Red lights strobed across the detention block. A voice announced over the speakers. Unknown vessel approaching station. Human registry. Requesting permission to dock. Riley's smile returned, wider than before. Dangerous. Oh, good. My friends are here. Bront pressed the weapon harder against her temple. Tell them to leave, now, or I will end you right here. Riley turned her head, looking directly at him despite the weapon, despite the threat, despite everything. And she said those words again, the ones that would haunt my dreams. "Go ahead." The weapon shook against Riley's skull, just slightly. Just enough for me to notice that Warden Bront, the most feared enforcer in 3 sectors, was having second thoughts about pulling the trigger. Smart man. The alarm kept wailing. The human ship hung in space just outside our defensive perimeter, not firing, not threatening, just sitting there like a patient predator waiting for dinner to be served. "Veltrin," Bront barked at me. "Get on the comm. Tell them to leave immediately or their friend dies." I hesitated. Every instinct I had developed over 17 cycles was screaming at me that this was wrong, that we were missing something critical, that we were playing a game where we did not know the rules. Riley tilted her head, weapon still pressed against her temple, and looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw it then. The intelligence behind those eyes, the calculation, the planning. This was not fear. This was not desperation. This was checkmate, and we had walked right into it. "Officer Veltrin," Riley said, her voice steady and clear, "you should let them dock. It would be the diplomatic thing to do, the smart thing." "Shut up," Bront snarled. "You do not give orders here." "I am not giving orders," Riley replied calmly. "I am giving advice, free of charge, professional courtesy and all that." I pulled up the comm channel to the human ship. My hands were shaking. Why were my hands shaking? I had handled hostage situations before. I had negotiated with terrorist cells. I had stared down warlords. But something about this felt different. Final. "Human vessel. This is Praxis 9 station security. You are ordered to leave Krynn space immediately. We are holding one of your people in custody. Any aggressive action will result in her termination." Static for a moment. Then a voice came through, female, calm, almost bored. "Praxis 9, this is the vessel Lucky Break. We are here to pick up our friend. We have no hostile intent. We are simply requesting permission to dock and retrieve our crew member." "Negative, Lucky Break. You will leave immediately or face consequences." Another voice, male this time, with a laugh in it. "Consequences? Friend, you have one of ours. That seems like a consequence already. For you, I mean." Bront pressed the weapon harder. Riley did not flinch. "Tell them you will execute her." I did. I said the words, even though everything in me screamed not to. The third voice came through then. Another female, but this one had an edge to it. Something cold. Something that made the temperature in the room feel like it dropped 10 degrees. "Station security. This is Commander Hanna of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. Let me explain something to you very clearly. Very simply. If you harm Riley, if you so much as bruise her, every human ship in this sector will know within the hour, and we will respond appropriately." "Is that a threat?" Bront demanded. "No," Hanna replied. "It is a promise, a guarantee, a mathematical certainty. Your choice, Warden Bront." He went rigid. "How do you know my name?" Riley giggled. Actually giggled. The sound was unhinged, delighted, like she had been waiting for this exact moment. "Oh, this is the good part. This is where I get to explain how thoroughly you have been played." "Explain nothing," Bront hissed. "You are a prisoner. You have no power here." "Power?" Riley's eyes sparkled with amusement. "Warden, I had power the moment my ship's engine mysteriously failed right at the edge of your territory. The moment your patrol ships rescued me. The moment you brought me to your most secure facility and gave me a complete tour of your defenses, your security protocols, your medical capabilities, your staff rotations. The pieces clicked together in my mind. All of them. At once. Like a puzzle I'd been staring at for 3 days, suddenly becoming clear. "You wanted to be captured," I whispered. Riley pointed at me, grinning. "See? Veltrin gets it. I knew I liked you. Yes. I wanted to be captured. Needed to be, actually. The Terran government has been trying to open diplomatic relations with the Krynn Collective for months. You kept stalling. Kept demanding proof we were worth talking to. Kept treating us like primitives." "You are primitives," Bront said, but his voice lacked conviction now. "We are Deathworlders," Riley corrected. "Huge difference. We come from a planet that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We adapted. We evolved. We survived. And now we are here, in your galaxy, and you have no idea what to do with us." She stood up slowly. Bront kept the weapon trained on her, but he stepped back. Actually stepped back from the tiny human. "Here is what you have learned over the past 72 hours, Riley continued, starting to pace. "You learned that humans can survive in conditions that would kill most species. You learned that we are stronger than we look. You learned that we heal fast, adapt quickly, and do not break easily. You learned that we drink poison for fun and consider deadly weather to be entertainment." Each point she made, she ticked off on her fingers. Casual, conversational, like she was teaching a class. "But here is what you did not learn," Riley said, stopping directly in front of Bront. "You did not learn how many of us there are. You did not learn where our colonies are. You did not learn our military capacity. You did not learn our actual intentions, because I did not tell you any of that. We have your ship's data," I said, trying to salvage something. "We can extract the information." "You have what I let you find," Riley countered. "Encrypted files I knew you would discover. Maps I knew you would analyze, all carefully curated, all designed to make you think you caught a spy when really you caught exactly what I wanted you to catch." Bront lowered the weapon slightly. "Why? What is the point of all this?" "Respect," Riley said simply. "You needed to see what we are capable of. Not by us telling you, but by you testing it yourselves. By you pushing me to my limits and realizing you could not find them. By you threatening me and discovering that threats do not work on people who grew up on a planet where everything is a threat." She walked to the window, looking out at the human ship floating in space. "We do not want war, Warden. We have had enough of that on our own planet. Thousands of years of fighting each other taught us some hard lessons. But we also do not want to be dismissed. We do not want to be patted on the head and told to go play in our corner of space. So you break into our facility, gather intelligence, and expect us to what? Thank you?" Bront's voice was rising again, anger replacing confusion. "I expect you to understand." Riley turned back to face us. "We are not prey. We are not pets. We are not subordinates. We are equals. And if you cannot accept that, if you cannot treat us with the respect we have earned by surviving on the most hostile planet you have ever documented, then we will go elsewhere. We will find other allies, other partners, and the Krynn Collective will have missed an opportunity to have the most resilient, most adaptable, most stubbornly persistent species in the galaxy on their side." The room went quiet. The alarm had stopped at some point, just us breathing, just the hum of the station systems. I made a decision then, probably the most important decision of my career, possibly the most important decision of my life. "Warden Bront," I said formally, "I recommend we release the prisoner and grant docking permission to the human vessel." "Are you insane?" Bront whirled on me. "She just admitted to espionage, to infiltration, to deceiving us. She admitted to wanting to talk to us, I corrected. And we were too proud to listen, too convinced of our superiority to take her seriously. She did not fire a single weapon, did not harm a single person, did not steal a single piece of classified information we did not already show her ourselves. I looked at Riley, who was watching me with interest. She outsmarted us, completely. And if we kill her now, we prove we are exactly what she thinks we are. Bullies who cannot handle being challenged. Bront's weapon wavered. I could see the conflict on his face. Pride versus pragmatism. Ego versus survival instinct. Besides, I added, playing my final card, if we execute her, those 3 humans on that ship will want to know why. And then Earth will want to know why. And then we will have to explain to the Collective Council why we started a potential war with a species that can survive anything we throw at them. A species that apparently loves a good fight. Riley smiled at that. We do love a good fight. But we prefer good partnerships. Much more profitable. Much less messy. Bront holstered his weapon, slowly, reluctantly. But he did it. You are free to go, human. Take your intelligence, your smirking attitude, and your Deathworld biology and leave my station. See, now we are getting somewhere, Riley said cheerfully. Veltrin, be a dear and grant docking permission. My ride is waiting. I did. I authorized it. I probably should have consulted higher authority, filled out proper forms, followed the chain of command. But sometimes you have to make the call in the moment. Sometimes you have to trust your gut, even when your gut is telling you that you just invited more apex predators into the den. 20 minutes later, 3 more humans walked into the detention block. Jade, Felix, and Hannah, all wearing the same inadequate clothing, all moving with that same casual confidence, all scanning the environment like they were assessing threats and opportunities simultaneously. Jade was tall, dark-skinned, with hair bound up in intricate patterns. Felix was shorter, stocky with facial hair and a grin that promised mischief. Hannah was the one I recognized from the comm, lean and sharp-eyed, moving like a trained fighter. You okay, Riley? Jade asked, checking her over. Totally fine, Riley assured her. They were perfect hosts, very accommodating. I learned a lot. We learned a lot too, I said, unable to help myself. Hannah looked at me, assessing. Officer Veltrin, we have heard good things about you. Professional, fair, smart enough to know when to fold. I prefer to think of it as strategic de-escalation, I replied. Felix laughed at that. Fancy words for not wanting to die. I respect that. Self-preservation is underrated. They collected Riley's belongings, such as they were, signed the release forms I hastily generated, acted like this was all completely routine. Before you go, I said as they reached the door, I need to know. Was any of this real? The engine failure? The contraband? Any of it? Riley paused, considering the question. The engine failure was staged. The contraband was planted, but the rest? The biology, the capabilities, the Deathworld origin, all real. Every bit of it. We did not lie about what we are. We just controlled how you found out. And now? Bront asked from behind me. What happens now? Hannah answered this time. Now, Earth formally requests diplomatic relations with the Krynn Collective, as equals, as partners. We have resources you need. You have knowledge we want. We can help each other, or we can go our separate ways. Your choice. We will consider it, Bront said stiffly. You do that, Riley said, giving us one last smile. That knowing smile, the one that said she already knew what the answer would be. Take your time. We are patient. We are really, really good at patience. Ask any prey animal on Earth how patient humans can be. They left, walked out of the detention block, boarded their ship, and departed Krynn space without incident. I stood at the window, watching their vessel vanish into the black. Bront stood beside me, silent for a long time. "We are going to accept their offer, are we not?" he finally said. "We are," I confirmed, because she was right. About all of it. They are not prey, they are not subordinates, and they are definitely not going away. "Terrifying," Bront muttered. "Yes," I agreed. "But imagine how terrifying they would be as enemies instead of allies." I pulled up the file on Earth again, reading through the environmental data, the biological analysis, the psychological profile. Class 12 Deathworld, every single parameter designed to kill. And humanity had not just survived there. They had thrived there, conquered it, made it home. 17 cycles in security, and I thought I'd seen everything. I was wrong. I had seen nothing. Nothing compared to the moment when a tiny human female looked a warden in the eye, weapon to her head, and dared him to pull the trigger. When she knew, absolutely knew, that he would not, could not, because we were not the predators in this scenario. We never had been. We had just been too proud to realize it until she showed us. The galaxy was about to change. The balance of power was shifting. And it all started with a girl who smirked at death and said two simple words. "Go ahead." Best decision we ever made was not taking her up on that offer. Best decision humanity ever made was giving us a second chance to get it right. Now we just have to figure out how to live in a galaxy where humans exist, where Deathworlders are real, where the small, fragile-looking creatures from that impossible planet are the ones you do not mess with. I have a feeling the next 17 cycles are going to be very, very interesting, and absolutely terrifying. But maybe, just maybe, that is exactly what the galaxy needs.